Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and today I'm going to make a sentimental journey to my favorite old fly-in park. Haven't been there for a long time, and the roads are kind of torn up, but I'm going to go anyway. It'll just take me a little longer to go over the rough stuff. And I'm going to fly my Air 2S down into the Queen Creek Wash, which you've heard me talk about so much. I love flying down through that little gully, and so that's what I'm headed to do. And when we get there, I'm gonna find a few friends that I didn't expect to be there. So now watch this as I go through the four-way stop. That guy didn't stop. I didn't stop, and so here we go. And by the way, I'm going to tell some stories, more than one story, because I got quite a few on this one subject called car crashes or car wrecks. So anyway, when I was in high school, and this, by the way, is the reason I like to kind of hide myself away when I'm flying a drone. I don't stand alongside the road or something like that. Because when I was in high school, I was in the Youth for Christ Club, and our local school club decided to raise some money for one reason or another to buy something. And so we had a car wash at this filling station, which was on a corner where two roads came together in a Y, pardon me, yeah, they came together into one road in kind of a Y shape. And so the road that the filling station was on was right at that, alongside that Y. And here I come. This is one of my favorite times right here, is coming back to this old park. See, when I first got my Bebop 2, this was the only place I knew to fly where I could fly a little bit and not lose connection. I could actually get much more range, because I didn't have, if I flew at home, which I got a lot of videos on that, and there's my friend Jim. He and I used to go to church together when I lived in town instead of oh, look at that. I told him, I said, that's heartbreaking when you land like that. So anyway, and there's Randy. He's the one that probably was responsible for getting Jim into flying. And Randy's been coming to the park to fly his planes for a long time. As you can see, there's a lot of folks that like this park. And so we'll watch him take off, and then I'll get back to my story. This is a big park as you look down there towards the end, and it goes just as far the other direction. So here we go. He's good. He's a good pilot. So now, at this point in time, I flew around a little bit. Now I'm going to go down into the wash. And while I go down there, I'll tell you some stories. So we were having this car wash, and the cars on the road closest to the station had to stop at a stop sign and to get across onto the main road. So as we were washing cars, and there weren't any around, nobody was coming to get their car washed, so we had a push broom that we were pushing around. And so, of course, when I was that age, I could balance anything I wanted on my head. I could balance a long pole or a shovel, and there's a story about that, too. But I was taking the push broom and walking around the parking lot with that push broom balanced on my forehead. And so, I did that when there was nothing else to do. And, of course, it attracted attention, but I didn't give it much thought. After all, I was a teenager. So, anyway, I'm walking around balancing. All of a sudden, I hear this car crash. And I bring the push broom down. I look out at the road. One guy... Several people, I suppose, had been watching me as they came up to that stop sign. One guy stopped before he got to the stop sign to see me walking around with that bush broom on my forehead. And the guy that was coming along before him, he was watching me walk around with a push broom on my forehead. And of course, he rear-ended the guy that had stopped to watch me. Now, this part here, flying through here, a couple of years ago, I think it was at Christmas time, my grandson, Ryan, and my granddaughter from South Dakota, Megan, we walked down this path. Of course, there was water in the wash, and so they wanted to walk down and, get close to the water and see it. And actually, the path over on the left is the one we came down. I just picked the wrong one coming up, so we'll go back down the one that they came down. And the interesting thing is that mud was mud from silt. It wasn't regular mud, and so it got when you got it on your shoe, you couldn't just wipe it off. It had to be really clean. It was so fine and so thin that it'd probably make good clay. Well, anyway, so this is the path that we came down, and then they played around in the water a little bit, and then, of course, they got mud on their shoes, and when it came time to go get in the car, we had to do a really good job of scraping all that mud off, because it really stuck like glue. Now, where was I? Oh, okay, so I caused a rear-end collision, and that gives me just enough time to tell you one more story. When I was in high school, I was going from where I lived out south of Seattle, I was going into town for something. I don't know what it was. And I came to this, it's like a 40 mile or 45 mile an hour zone. And I'm going along, and this light turns yellow. And so, I said, I'm going to stop. I had my little 1951 Plymouth that my folks had bought me for putting a patio in the backyard. So anyway, I slammed my brakes on, and then I heard this screeching of wheels. Must have been summertime with the windows down. I look in my rearview mirror, and here's this bread truck. Now, back in those days, the bread truck was, they didn't have anything sitting behind the driver. And so he slammed his brakes on, and all the bread came from behind. I remember seeing him bounce, the loaves of bread bouncing against the window and bouncing off of his head. And I looked at this little path, and I thought, well, I've never seen that path before. So that's something new, and it just so happened that there was these two girls that were running across that path. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Because when I used to fly down here, come to the park, and I've even ridden my bike over there since. I didn't realize that path was there. So that was kind of a strange thing. And so now I'm looking up towards the park side of the wash, and here comes those girls back down again. And so, there was two posts over there. That's the gate that if I want to fly from the edge of the wash, I come through that gate, and I usually turn left so I can get up at the end where the water comes in. And so, hello, young lady, how are you doing today? So anyway, so that was a rear-end collision, and of course, I got stories about that follow up on that story, so I'll have to tell some of those stories sometime. But so this is the Queen Creek Wash, and I used to get, when I had my Mavic 2 Zoom, and I didn't have any place else to go, I'd come to this park, fly down through here, and get really low and go between the trees and all that stuff. I was much braver then, and much more healthy. Now I'd have a hard time climbing around on the side of the hill trying to find my drone. So anyway, so that's the Queen Creek Wash and why I love it. So there you know. I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.